I have 2.5 years of experience in Tosca. I'm a QA lead working on UFT automation as well. So shoot me any question if you are not clear today. So I see Sheelu, Neeti, Narayan, Nisha, and Megha. Hi,
Yeah,
everyone.
yep, we are missing few folks. I'm not sure whether they are planning to join or not. So I'm recording the session for them. So hopefully they can review that afterwards if they can't attend. So
Sure. Should I start? Or should we wait for 2 more minutes?
we can get started, Kritika. I think it should be okay. I think Nikita is joining. So yep. So I think we can get started. You can go ahead, and I give you ability to share your screen.
Thank you, Harshal. Let me share my screen and let me know if you can see the screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Yeah. Thank you. So basically, Tosca is a software tool to automate any functional or regression software test cases. It can support integrated test management, graphical user interface, command line interface, and application programming interface. Basically, it can support more than 150 technologies as of now, as of today. Why Tosca? A lot of manual testers may not know programming to do automation for some most advanced programming skills are needed for automating test cases. But for Tosca, we may not need much programming skills, but basic testing knowledge is enough for using this tool. It's very simple and very UI based tool. You can just plug in and play with it. Also, it's very simple. It's very easy to manage all the test cases, and everything you do in a step-by-step way. You can automate everything in Tosca. So basically, this Tosca suite has a Tosca commander, a Tosca wizard, and a Tosca executor. Main part is Tosca commander, which is the GUI tool. Let me show you. This is the actual tool. It's very simple, and you don't need much effort to.
So, Kritika, can I ask you, is this Tricentis is the only company who owns Tosca for now?
Yes.
Okay.
So the one you saw, the tool, that's the commander. Within that commander, you have a wizard that can scan the application under test, and the executor within the Tosca commander will execute the test cases that you create. Be it any technology, it will execute the test cases based on what you give in the test case. Also, it has a repository that will store all the variables or whatever you want to store. It has a repository. So basically, you need to know how to deal with commander. That's the only tool that we have to use. So this is the GUI tool. Any questions? So as a manual tester, what is the first step you will do to test a system under test? Anyone can answer. So if you are a manual tester, what is the first step you will do?
Requirement analysis.
Correct. So to read the requirements document and understand what is the business functionality. So Tosca has a tab where you can put all your requirements, and then using that requirement you can create test cases. So I'll go through simple steps. So basically this Tosca tool has a commander, executor, and a Tosca wizard and repository. So what it does is it will scan the system under test, and based on the requirements you have to steer the application by scanning the application. These modules are the modules that you create in the Tosca commander will be created as a test case, and then you run the test case to generate the report. So basically you have the screen information, the test sequence, and the test data in an order so that you can follow the basic steps that you do in manual testing in a step-by-step way in Tosca. So you have to scan the application, create the steps that you want to execute in the test case, and then run the test case to generate the report. Those are the simple steps you can do. So basically, you apply the requirements, design the test cases, create modules, and then build the test case and run the execution list and generate reports. These are the steps you do in a manual testing, right? So all are combined in one tool, which is very easy to manipulate and go over using Tosca. Any questions?
Kritika, can you go back to the previous slide?
Okay.
So if I understand the step correctly here, right,
Mhm.
based on what you said is, so the tool will scan your application and pull out the relevant information, basically, and
Mhm.
you are building the test cases. So once
Correct.
that information is captured, and I'm assuming it could be the HTML controls and all those different
Yes.
information. So
Mhm.
that information is stored somewhere in the tool,
Correct.
maybe in the repository.
Yes.
And then you will use the you will build the modules using that information and create your automation test cases.
Correct.
So if I understand, like a UFT is like a UR recording, and it's creating certain things for you in the UFT. Here you are doing that at the page level, something similar to that.
Each
So
and
it's
every element that you have to use in your system has to be captured.
captured. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Right. If I understand correctly on that one, for the students as well, just clarifying that.
that's correct, Harshal. So, for example, correct. So, when you have to log into a page, what are the steps you follow as a manual tester? You have to capture the same in Tosca tool. So, for that, we use the Tosca commander. Tosca wizard is the one that will scan the page, and then we have to identify each and every object that we are supposed to use in that step. It will save in the repository, and then it will have to create a test case to execute the steps.
Gotcha. So you'll be building out the steps based on what's captured in the repository.
Each and every step that we do as a manual tester has to be captured in Tosca. Only then it will execute them and report the results.
Yep, makes sense.
So these are the steps that we follow. For now, I will not deal with the requirements or design test cases. It's a little advanced. I can show you how to create modules, build test case, and execute them. So preconditions for working through the tutorial. So when you have to practice your skills in Tosca, you need to have Tricentis TOSCA test suite installed in your system, and you should have Microsoft Edge at 100% settings, as well as a stable internet connection. So you need to have a user ID and login password to register at Tricentis support portal, which is given here. You have to register yourself. So you have to register in their portal and then request for a license. You can request them for a Tricentis TOSCA license for trial, which is valid from 14 days to 60 days, depending on the license version you get. And once you get the license, you can download from their portal and then use the Tosca tool. I'll show you where you can. So this is their website, Tricentis website. You need to go to support. You can either log in if you have registered already, or you have to register here. Click on the register and give your business email, whatever information that is required in this portal, and then register. It will register and then you can log in. Then go to downloads. You will see the latest version that
Is anybody can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, not Kritika. Okay, I thought so. Okay, so let me ping her that we are not able to hear. Give me a second, okay? I'm gonna call her.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, Kritika. Previously we weren't. Yep. So we were on the support page and you were talking about downloading. Yep. That's where we lost.
So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. I'm sure other folks can see.
Yes, we are seeing.
Okay, so you have this Tosca server 14.0 version. That's the latest. You click on it, and then you will see this download zip file. Once it is downloaded, you can click and run the file. So actually it is here. So you will see something, you have to give a name. I gave this Tosca projects. So once you see that, you will see these files downloaded in your system, and then click on Tricentis Tosca, whatever version you download. Click on it. I'll show you how to. So once it is done, you can open and install Tosca in your system. So you have to give a path. I gave this path C:\Tosca projects. So all the files are downloaded here. Once your download is done, you have to go to their portal and request for a license, trial license. You cannot use Tosca unless you get a license and use that license in your Tosca tool. So now this is downloaded. I'm not clicking because it's already downloaded in the system. So that's how you download, and then you can open and double click on the file and or extract all the zip files, and then install the application. So once your application is installed, you have to double click and run the application. So it will ask you to install here, and then it will ask for a license. So you have to go to their portal and request for trial license. So what I did initially, I raised an incident, but so this is the link that you have to click. Support Tricentis community training license request.
So looks like it's 8 weeks, depending on the request, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
I would recommend the cloud. That will think basically 8 weeks or 60 days, whichever they give.
Yep.
So once you click on submit license request, maybe a couple of days it will take to get response from them. Then once you get response, you have to go to Tosca Commander. That's the command you have to give to start the Tosca tool. So my license is already in the system. So once you get the license, so they will give you a link to go find the license, and you click here, there is a license overview. You will see what are the licenses you can use from your ID, or there is a cloud license that you will get an instruction how to use that cloud license. So once that has been installed, so you see here there is a license, that's where you have to give your license. So for now it is saying everything is fine because I already gave the license. They will give you a set of instructions where you have to click and do to install your license. So once you install, everything is fine, you got a license, that's the message you will see. So we can go ahead and use Tosca tool. So once you got the license, this will be the main UI you will see. So what I will have to do is, you can either create a new project or use an existing one. So for now, I'm going to create a new project by giving a name. Since I have created rflown already, I will say rflown. So all your test cases will be stored under this workspace called rflown_test. Any questions?
No.
Am I going so fast or? Okay. If you have any questions, please ask.
Sure.
So once you created the rflown underscore test, this is the page we should expect to open up.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So it'll create the workspace rflown underscore test.
Yeah. When you put in the rflown underscore test name, this
Yes.
is the page that opens up.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So you can actually play with it. You can remove and plug in the tabs that you see here. If you don't want to see some of the tabs, you can remove them. For now, so earlier this was here. So this is how the landing page will be when you create a new workspace. So as I said earlier, the first step is to review the requirements, and then you might see your QA lead or your QA manager would have created those requirements. I hope many of you have used ALM.
They used Jira and DevOps.
Okay.
Yeah, they are similar.
Okay.
So with the
So
stories. Yep.
yeah. So in ALM, you have a requirements folder. Similarly, you can see the requirements tab here, where your QA manager or QA lead will store all the requirements that go into the release. And then the test case design, I will come to that later. So for now, the first step is review the requirements. You will see all the requirements that your QA manager or QA lead has created. So if you are assigned a requirement, say for example, we have to log into rflown and check whether rflown login page is working fine or not. So our first thing would be to launch the website and then input the password. Whatever test case you're written for login page has to be executed. So what we have to do is modules tab. Modules tab is used to create modules that we need to execute. If I say this, we have to launch the website and input the username and password and login. This will be automated by creating a module. So what we have to do is, module is the first step where we have to scan the application. So right click on modules and then go to the scan option and then click on application. Basically, it will capture all the objects or the elements that we have to use in that page, and it will store them in the repository. So this is the page we have to work on. So click on it and then hit scan.
So Kritika, while it's scanning, right? So here the module is more like every page will become its own module. Is that the
Not
concept?
every page.
Okay.
But what are the elements that we want to steer in the sense act on it?
Okay.
So for example, in this rflown page, we have to use only username, input password, and then click login button. So I'm going to capture only these three web elements. So that will be captured or used in the module.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what I will do is I'll go again. I type something. Okay. So right click, scan, and click on application. Click on the page that you have to scan and then click scan. So here, if you see, these are the elements that Tosca can capture from the page that we are supposed to scan. So what it does is, it will capture each and every web element that is in the page, and then whichever element that we want to use in that page, we need to select them. For example, here username, password, and login are the 3 web elements that we have to use to log in. So that will be this username, and if you click on that particular text box, it has to be a unique element that it can identify in the page. That means if there are multiple web elements of the same type or same name or whatever, it won't be able to identify where to input the username. So you need to identify a web element in the page that you want to use in a unique way so that you can use it in your test case. So this is a text box and its name is username, and it has so many properties. It has so many properties on the right side. What do you want to do with that text box? You need to input the text in the text box. So it has to be identified by a unique way. So it has already checked in the ID and the tag. If I uncheck them, it will say it is not uniquely identified. So make sure you uniquely identify each and every element that you want to use in the page, so that when you execute the test case, it will identify them in the page and input or do action on it. So this is uniquely identified. Make sure it is green message that you see here. The next thing I want to capture is the password, and give a name that can be used and identified by any tester. So I give a common name which can be easily used by others if they want to reuse this particular page or the test case that you created. So this password is uniquely identified by itself using the ID and tag. The third element that we want to capture is the login page, login button. So if I have to check it and then make sure it's uniquely identified using the ID and tag. It's already identified. And also make sure that you have to rename this page, say Orflown login, because the same page can be used to test some other scenario. So for now, I'm testing only the login page by inputting login user ID and password and clicking the login button. So once you have renamed all the web elements and the page name, save, and then hit close. So now our web page is captured. If you go to Tosca tool, on the left pane you will see a module has been created with the elements that we have captured from the scan. So what operation do we need to do on these elements? we need to input username, input password, and then click on login. So these are the 3 actions that we have to perform on these 3 elements. So to do that, we need to go to test cases, click on the tab test cases, and then you click on the test cases folder, right click on it, then you will see a folder and say our loan login. Why do we need to create folder? So basically, this folder, we can create a test case and all the test steps inside the test case, and we can move around this folder wherever we want. So in Tosca, it is very simple. All our properties or all the elements or the module, everything is tree structured. So you just have to click the expand button to see what is inside the module or the test case. So so once we have created the folder, right click on it and then create a test case. So we can name it as login URL or login. So basically this test case will hold the steps that we need to perform on that page. So this test case can be reused in other scenarios as well. Say for now, this is the first scenario we are testing. Maybe later on some other tester is using the same login page but testing some other scenario. They can reuse this particular test case. So
that means it is interconnected. Somebody else can see my work.
Yes. So later on, we can move this test case into a library which can be used by other testers as well. Basically, functions in a programming language where you create a function and it can be used by other testers in your program. So, any questions?
So Kritika, just to clarify here, right? So modules you capture once, basically scan the page once and capture all the elements for the page, all right? And those are, once you capture that, you don't create that again, the module scanning, unless you want to add something, something is changed, you want to rescan the page.
Correct.
Right? So for the same way, once you log in, so now you are on the login page. So you create another module for the login, not the login, but my homepage, kind of like a super user homepage, right? Or the loan calculator might have a different module called loan calculator, which has whatever elements we are testing, we want to test, we'll organize that.
Correct.
Then in the test case, it's kind of like a normal test case. So here I can call super user login, right? Because you are using the super user credential here. But we could have another kind of like a test case called dealer login. So that will be a second test case, right?
Correct.
For you can keep on creating. And then somebody else wants to use this thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to recreate this test. But what you said is we can reuse whatever test cases that you created. Let's say in the loan calculator, you have to log in as a dealer.
Correct.
So you just use whatever login, dealer login test case steps from there, and then add additional things in the second test case.
Correct.
Is it, if I understand correctly? Okay,
yes.
I just want to make sure.
Yes, I will show you how to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right click on it and then sorry. Okay. On the login, once you are in the test case tab, you will also see the tab on top where you can add the module that you want to use. So click on the module that we created, and then you will see that username, password, and login button are on the right side. So the left side tree structure is where you will see all the names, but the right side here, the center space is where you will use most of the time. That means whatever action you want to perform on those web elements, you have to give the correct action here. Yes.
So these are the steps, right? That
Correct.
username. Yep. Whatever value you want to send in. So S training would be
Mhm.
my username, and you supply the value.
Correct.
Password. What password? And then finally the click for the
Yes.
login.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
So these three elements have to be used in our page, and what action and what value you want to use it on them, we need to put them here. So value for username, say as training, and then the password training. So for a text box, the action mode or the action that you perform is the input, and then for a login button, you have to use click. So these are the inputs that we have to do on the page. So this is a page. What we have to do is you can always save, and then you see this click on this test step, and then you see run in Scratchbook. This is where we are going to execute this step. So now it gave the username and the password and clicked on the login button. We are in the next page. And if you see here, you will see a Scratchbook page that appeared. Basically, it will tell you what is the test result. I just moved it here. So I created a module and created a test case, and this is called the test step. And then the results of the test step that you ran just now. So if you see green, it's all passed.
So this is kind of like UFT and everything merged in one tool.
Yes.
And
Isn't
it
easy? You
looks a
don't have
little
to code.
simpler too.
Correct. You don't have to code.
Yes. But then if I have 15 users, what should we do then?
Then your QA manager will give you access to certain, when I said requirements, right? Only those will be given to you. And then you will have your own workspace. Remember, we created a workspace.
So this requirements will it not be all the
Visible to everyone.
that is for the or is this requirement just assigned to me?
So you will be able to see all the requirements, but there will be a certain workspace that you will be given so that other users will not be affected by your modules and test cases. So basically, we should not what do you say? In UFT, we should not merge our code unless we push the code into DevOps. So basically, a repository.
Shared code, source control, and so forth. Okay.
So basically, you will be given a separate repository. You use all your test cases, modules, and whatever you want in that workspace. And then once you're ready, you tell other testers that you're going to push your code. Then QA manager will. So basically, they will give you a time where you can push and pull the code.
So Kritika, I'm sure there are some way to share, right? So
Mhm.
that's so QA manager will handle the sharing part so that
Correct.
you get access to certain shared module which you can use. Let's say the requirement is certain things, right? I have to log
Mhm.
in. So login might be in the shared repository somewhere which you have
Correct.
access,
Correct.
and you can use it in all your test cases
True.
that you create,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first step to login is done. Any questions? I won't go very detailed in technical terms. I just wanted to make it simple so that you will follow. This is one step that we performed in that page. Should I go for the next one?
Yes.
So far you're good. I mean, once you work on a tool, you will learn a lot. But for now, is everyone good?
Yes, so far.
Okay. So the next step that we want to do is click on the dealer homepage. Basically, whatever manual step you do have to be captured. So click on the dealer homepage and then click on the calculator, then input $1,000 and then click calculate and verify it as $30. So to do these steps, again we have to go to modules and then scan this page, because earlier we didn't capture this page, so we have to scan that page again. I mean the new page.
So Kritika, in order to scan it, right, you need to be on that page
Yes,
so the tool can recognize it. Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Without this page, we cannot scan. So that's why it shows this page, whether we are sure to use this page to capture.
Yep. Okay.
And
Gotcha.
then click on scan. Then it automatically captured all these elements that you see here. So the link for auto repair financial contact, this is at the bottom. Yeah. So what element we have to use for the next step? That's the dealer homepage. So dealer homepage, check that and make sure it is uniquely identified in that page. And maybe we can rename or just
So while you are renaming it, Kritika, so in the real life, right? So you scan this page once. So there might be other modules that might be using the lender management or dealer management.
correct.
So you can scan once and have all the elements captured, or
You
you come
can,
back and rescan those
I can
elements,
do that.
right?
So
Something
either
like
you
that,
can come back and rescan or select all that whatever you want in that page, but it has to be unique. So all
right?
these are uniquely identified. If I
Yep.
want the table 2, I can do that. Otherwise, I don't have to capture
Right.
that. And then
Okay.
I give a name, because HTML document is common to all the pages. So for now, I will give, is it admin?
Yeah, this is admin homepage or super user homepage,
Okay,
something like
I'll
that.
give super user homepage. Then we save it and then close. So this super user homepage module has all the elements captured, but I need to use only one dealer homepage link for my test case or test step. So what I'll do is, first, since we have created this already, I'll go to this test case again, add the test step by using this module. Now that I have added the test step, I do not need all these elements. What I can do is, I don't have to use all this, but use only dealer homepage. So I'll go there, then I'll say click. That's all I'm going to do. Click on the test step and then run. So the execution status is green and it's passed. It was able to identify that object, click on it. Basically, this test step will have to capture the object that you want to use in your test step, perform an action that is click, that is the input that the user has to use by clicking the object, and then once it's done, your test step is passed.
What
So
if it
sorry.
what if it doesn't pass and give you a red X or something? Will it tell you in detail?
Yes. So what I'll do is,
Can you show us one failed one?
sure. Let me go to our phone. I'll copy this and then paste it. I'm going to fail the test case. What I'll do is failed. So to fail the test case, let me not give password or not. Okay, let me remove this. So to perform the action or the step that is given here, I cannot do it on this page because it won't be able to identify. Okay, I'll do that again. Let's see.
Can you use the same picture from before, or you have to take the picture again?
You don't have to do the picture again. That's why I copy pasted that step. See, it failed.
Okay, makes sense.
It failed because that page is not here. Either so, if I log out and come back to this page, now it will identify these elements. Still,
so this test got failed because of we did not took a page or we did not put values.
it cannot identify that page. Where
Okay.
it passed here because it was able to identify these objects and perform some action. Got it?
Yes.
So if I go back and run this test step, it passed. But again, the login page, this is not the login page, right? If I run this, it's going to fail because it could not identify the page to input the login and password and click on the login button.
So does it matter if you put value or not?
Good question. So that is the test data that you have to input in that particular test step.
But what if you were at the home page
Mhm.
and it will not put a username, it will only put a password and press click, and then it will fail? Because that's what we said for the failed class, failed scenario.
Okay, so what we can do is we can add a step that says that this particular page failed. We can write a test step. What I'm trying to do here is copy this super user login here. And then paste it here. I'll rename, because each test step has to be meaningful. What you're going to do in that particular test step. Verify logged in. If you're logged in, it should go to super user homepage. I'm going to verify that. Say I'm going to verify, say this element exists or not, or this contact or logout is existing or not. You need to verify whether that logout inner text is logout. I'll create a separate test case to fail verify login failed. Okay, so now I'm going to run two steps. One to log in and then verify whether it's logged in or not. For that, you need to click the test case and then run. Though it clicked, it did not go to the, so it failed in the first step itself. Though it clicked, it did not go to the next page, and it could not verify that logout button is there or not. No matching tab was found with the following properties. So login failed. One thing, we did not input user ID. And the next thing you need to verify is whether it logged in and identified that particular logout field. So it failed. Any questions?
No.
So each and every step that you have to perform as a manual tester has to be captured in test step inside a test case and then verify whether your test steps are executed at each test step level. So it passed this one, but it failed here. So your report will show that this test step failed at this time and this duration. So your QA manager will say, why this test step failed? Can you fix that? Or you run these test cases before release and the report shows that the new code has failed this test step. That means something impacted this particular test step. So either it is new code that is affecting or the old code that has not been tested properly. So that's how we will come to know which step failed and which steps passed. So each and every input that you have to give in the web page has to be captured here and executed for any defects to be captured. Any questions?
No.
Should I go to the next one? So so far it's clear. I mean, once you work on tool, then you will be able to do much more than this.
Yes.
Okay, so let me run this test case again. So we will go to super user login page. Oh, did I remove the password? Okay, let it fail and see whether it is working fine or not. It failed, yeah. What did I do here?
Probably you inputted the wrong password. I think you were trying to change it earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Thanks, Harshal. Okay. So we are going to execute 2 steps here. So for that, we need to click on the test case and then run. Then it clicks dealer homepage. Yeah. So to proceed to the next step, we need to capture this page and identify calculator as a unique object and then perform the click action on it to go to the next page. Again, we have to go to tool, go to modules, right click, scan, application, click on the page, click scan. Now we have to use calculator link. So I don't think I can rename this any way better than this. So I'll rename this as calculator page. And then save and close. Once it's captured, you have the calculator link. So go to that particular test case, add the test step, calculator page. Then on the right side, what action do we need to put? Click. That's it. Now click on the test step and then run. Clicked on the just click. Herschel, it came to login page again.
Probably it logged you out, maybe because of the timeout setting.
Okay.
Yep. But you can check in, go back in and click on the calculator itself in the application, and I think it should take you to the calculator page. So
Okay, then I have reloaded this page, and then let's see, we'll do this from step 1. Step 1 is to input user ID, password, and click on login. Then next step is dealer homepage, and then next step is click on the calculator. Yes, it worked. So if you see in the scratch book, every step worked. Then the next step is to input loan amount and click on the calculate button. Scan the application. Identify the objects uniquely by checking the object and then renaming it. Rename the object and then click the next object that you want to use in the page. Identify it by its unique property, save, and then close. Rename. It's better to rename the page once you scan, otherwise we will forget to rename it. Calculate. Oh, can we say calculate? The minimum monthly payment. Then go to test case, add the test step, calculate MMP. Then what action do we need to perform? The input loan amount $1,000, and then action click on the calculate button. Save it and then run. Let's execute the test step, and then now we have to verify the value $30. Either you can rescan or you can scan again. So I'm going to do rescan. So I don't see that value being captured anywhere uniquely. So what I'm going to do is, there is something called select on screen. Click on that and click on the spot where you have to identify that object. So click on it. You will see that been captured. So you can rename it and then save, close. So this amount, earlier it wasn't there, we rescanned and captured that, and then now if you see here, that amount is here, but I don't want to use it in the first step, but I want to use it in the next step where I have to verify that amount is $30. So what I'll do is I will use this test step again, the next test step, and rename this as verify minimum monthly payment. So that's where we are going to verify whether that amount is $30. So now what I'll do is there is something called inner text property for that particular object or the element. I'm going to say whether it is $30, and I need to perform the action verify. I don't have to click the calculate button, so I will not use that object at all in this test step. So if I run this test step, it has to verify whether that amount is $30 or not. It failed.
So there is a space, I think, between
Oh.
dollar and 30. So probably that's the reason.
Okay, so we have to see. That's correct, Harshal. Thank you. So you can see that it is verifying $30 with $30. Since it could not match, it failed that step. So we have to go back to that step and then input space in between $30 and 30, then save, then run the step.
I think you might have to run it again, the whole thing, because it kick you out of the timeout. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, this one has 5 minutes timeout, looks like, in the application. So.
Oh, God. Okay. Thanks, Harshal.
Sure.
So reload again. Okay. It's a good time that we test all 4 or 5 test steps again from the beginning. So go back to the test case again and then start from scratch. So from step 1 to step 5, it has to execute and verify every test step is working fine or not. It worked.
I think somehow it clicked twice somewhere, looks like.
Oh. All our test steps passed. It says verification successful.
Yep. Okay.
Any questions?
So how do we verify it if we are not giving the value $1,000 instead something else like 2,000 or whatever?
Okay. Okay. What if I say 3,000? Okay. And then run the test step. Oh, it logged out again. Oh,
Yeah.
But I logged in just few minutes back.
Yeah, there might be some glitch in there.
Network is also very bad from morning.
Yeah, you can click on here, login here to log in again. It will take you back.
Oh. Logged out again.
Yeah, somehow there is a bug. Looks like there is a glitch somewhere.
Should I clear the cache and then try again?
but it looks like it ran all the steps for you.
That's the last
But it,
step. I mean,
yeah, because you failed the test verification, right? Yeah, it's supposed to be 30. You inputted 3,000 for verification.
okay.
Yeah. Now, if you put 2,000 as input and maybe 60, that would be the different amount that should pass at that point.
Okay. Someone asked about this $2,000. Did they get this?
Yes. So I wanted to ask, like, do we need to verify like again and again, or there is some way where we can just like we did parameterization and UFT. Is there any way that we can just
Yeah,
verify in loop?
yeah, we can do that. So something called test case design, where we can store all the input values that we want to use in multiple test cases. For example, in this test case, first input was $1,000.
Mhm.
The second input will be $2,000, and then $3,000. We can do that in test case design.
Okay.
Same way for login, user ID and password, there can be 4 or 5 user ID passwords for
Right.
our flown. We can use test case design to input all those and then run the test case for each and every combination or every scenario that we want to
Okay.
execute.
Thank you.
Very simple. It's more like a Excel sheet. We just input the values here in the Excel sheet and then do some action here to something called convert to a template, which will use the test case design and all the input values from there. It will plug in here and then run it with different combination of values for those inputs.
Okay.
Kritika, so once they create account, right, on the Tosca site, do they get access to any learning material on the Tosca? Do you know if they
It's
have
their
any free?
manual doc. Everything is there in website.
Okay, I'm not sure whether they will get access to maybe for certain days for learning material.
Learning, once you have registered in the site, there's something called online academy,
Okay.
where you can go to their knowledge base. Okay, here we have knowledge base under resources. You have shared articles, best practice for guide. Lot of
Yeah, Academy
learning.
probably. Yeah, Academy
Yeah.
might have some helpful information on how to do certain things and so forth. I
Yes.
know they used to have something free last year for during the COVID timeframe. They were giving out certain for free like videos and certain learning things. Maybe it's there.
Maybe it's
Maybe
there.
yeah,
Maybe I
somewhere.
didn't see.
Yep.
Yeah. Once I get to know, once I have to.
Sure.
Manuals, yeah. A lot of manuals are there, and then if I see any video, I will share.
Sure.
With that.
Certainly. I was just
Yeah.
curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
not sure what.
I have not watched. I have read a lot.
Yep.
And then there is something called obstacle course that you can challenge yourself by using this tool. Say lot of I used to do a lot of obstacle course. That will help you to work on this tool and understand better.
Yep.
These are the very simple steps that I taught you, but there's a lot of useful ways that you can do once you start using tool.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
So you have the access because where you work, the company is using Tosca.
Yeah, but this one is I just created few weeks back for Intelix, and I downloaded the cloud version. This is in Intelix laptop. The one I'm sharing now, this is Intelix laptop.
So
Okay.
Silu, the steps he showed you earlier for download installation,
Yes.
probably you guys need to follow through that one. And I'm gonna put it captured in the video as well. So hopefully that one it will help you install and configure basically from that standpoint. Otherwise, reach out to me and I'll help you guys. Okay.
Sounds good.
Basically, you need to register in their portal and then download the version that you want and then request for a trial version or training license version. That will be from 14 to 60 days, it will be available for you to work. They will give you instruction how to register that license in your tool, and once you register, then you can use this tool. It's 2 day wait, 1 or 2 days wait. Usually they come back to you within a day. They have very good technical support as well. Any questions, everything is there in this portal. Any other questions? So what are the challenges you face in manual testing that can be simplified in this? Like you can plug into SQL and then execute SQL query, manipulate data, and you can scan PDF. You can use SAP. More than 150 technologies can be used in Tosca.
Yep.
Like you scan application, you can scan API, PDF, mobile, host for others. And then if you have a Windows application, say legacy scan can be used. Salesforce can be scanned. For example, is it okay if I show them how to scan PDF?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I think we can still use like a 10 minutes and then I will another type of question answer afterwards. We can take a look at other things.
Okay. Do you have any PDF in your system, Hashan?
I'm not sure. Just download something. Just Google it and download something like a search for any PDF in the Google.
I can go to.
Yeah, any
Okay.
site or anything.
There is any download here, PDF. You can do that.
Like a Tosca might have something for
Yeah.
their PDF downloads. Yep.
I don't know whether it's a PDF or not.
Yeah, it should have something, some PDFs in the installation guide. Oh, this is all HTML, looks like.
Okay. Check.
Yep, you can download that.
That's basically simply like you scan your application. Open the PDF, keep it open, and see the PDF.
This laptop is new, so it may not have the PDF reader. So it opened in the browser, looks like.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
Okay. So I'll go to browser then. Yeah, if you want to scan an image or a text, for example.
So this one can be used when you are doing some verification in the PDF document, right? As part of your
Yeah.
test steps.
Yes.
So you open the PDF document and say, basically read the text.
Mhm.
Hey, is it correct or not in the PDF?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Same way how you, I think it's only for verification, not for any action that we can perform.
Sure.
So we have highlighted that and then save and close. Once you have captured that, maybe you can add a test case. PDF and then add the test step. And then rename it. So you just have to input this text there to verify whether this text is appearing or not. Failed. Basically, you need to do the same way, but
Yeah, maybe because of the
something.
driver, it's not verifying
Yeah.
since it doesn't have a PDF driver.
Mhm.
Yep.
So basically, anything you can scan and then use it in your test system under test. You can scan anything. Most of the technologies. Any questions?
Nope.
I think once you register and start working, you will learn a lot.
Yep. So I know I sent you guys the conference. There is a Tosca conference, right? I hope some of you can attend. It's a free conference, basically. So that one will give you some more information on the tools and what's new features and so forth. Hopefully you will learn something new in that virtual conference from there if you registered. Now, Kritika, I mean, this one nationwide is kind of like a big on Tosca. But do you know anybody else in the Columbus area use this tool? I know other places. I mean, they use this heavily.
Not in Columbus. I know Kroger in Cincinnati uses.
Kroger in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that it's a very expensive tool. First of all,
Yeah.
this is
Investment
where,
is lot,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it will reduce a lot of manual testing.
Yep. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. So
Nationwide laid off a lot of manual testers because they got Tosca.
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's one of the key skill I think they are looking for. Tosca
Mhm.
is one of the skills.
Yeah.
And so forth. Yep. Okay. Yep. And plus this Tosca company has a RPA tool that works similarly on the similar technologies. Basically, I think they leverage the same type of technology for RPA and so forth.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yeah.
I
So
have to read. I
yep.
haven't read.
We'll look into that. I mean, I know you already know Tosca, so RPA
Mhm.
would be the good segue from there.
Sure.
Kind
I
of like
will do that
underlying the
as well.
scanning mechanism and so forth is
Mhm.
very similar to the.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
I should try.
Yeah.
Never tried.
Yep.
Any other questions?
So I hope you guys are finding this tool helpful. This is kind of like so we looked at the UFT, right? You guys got some idea about the Cucumber and the Ruby side of things, how that works a little bit. And this is like another tool which does not require any programming. UFT has some programming, but this one has pretty practically like 98% of the time you don't have to do. I'm sure there are advanced scenarios where you have to pick up some scripting type of thing
Yeah.
with this tool.
Unless it's a large project, you don't have to do much programming.
Yep, like kind of like Rflown application, right? You do pretty practically zero programming. You can build your automation test for Rflown type of medium-sized complexity wise. Yep. So. All right. So I guess any question that you guys have. Now Kritika was our previous student as well. So I mean, I'm sure if you have any other question unrelated, she might be able to answer for some of these things.
I did Ruby Cucumber at Intelix.
Oh, nice. So Kritika, if you don't mind, I'm just curious about your like QA lead journey. Like how did you start?
I started, okay, I have a master's degree in computer applications from University of Madras, Chennai. I was a developer, mainframe and Java developer. I got married, gave birth kids, and about 10 years I didn't work. I had to take care of kids. Then I wanted to start working. I did freelancing with UTest as a tester. I had to take care of my kids at home. So from home, I started working for UTest. I tested a lot of web mobile applications, iPhone, Android applications in mobile, and Mac, iOS applications. That's how I started my career as a tester. I have about 8 years of manual testing. And then I learned Ruby Cucumber at Intelix, started working on automation, and then nationwide got this tool, Tosca tool. I did certification till automation engineer level 1. Then now I'm doing UFT automation.
Yep. So what are the things that's helping you to do the work at Nationwide? So
initially it was a struggle because all our manual testing has to be converted into automation. So that took some time to even start automating our application.
Right.
It took at least a year for us to get back to normal, that this will be the normal way of doing Tosca automation.
Right.
So initially we had a lot of confusion, clashes between the testers. We just interfered in each one of our test cases, and we didn't have a clue how to resolve it. And then we go to our QA lead and manager to resolve our conflicts. And then we got settled. And then once all our test cases are passing, what we did was we used Jenkins to start our task automation tool in a remote server or remote laptop. And
Okay.
then just before the release, we will run all our test cases through Jenkins Tosca. Then we will see the report next day whether all our test step or test cases executed or passed or not. If it failed anywhere, we have to go back and see why it failed and how long it took to execute all the test cases. How can we rerun in a less time so that it will not affect the application. It took
Right.
minimum 1 year to get to that level.
Right. And I know you didn't have formal training. So how did you pick up Tosca from that standpoint?
So I had to put extra effort. weekends, and even weekday after work, I had to sit for 4 or 5 hours to. Initially, it was a struggle, but then we got into it, and within minutes we will complete our test case. And developers were scared because once they deploy the code in our system in the UAT or the sys environment, we will run these test cases, and then within minutes it'll be done.
Right.
They'll be surprised. Oh God, you guys are already done. We don't have any other code to deploy. That's what they'll say. They'll be very scared to use this automation thing.
Yep.
Business were happy because they get a report for each and every test step that we execute, and they can easily see where it failed, because if you see here, it shows whether it passed or it failed.
Yep. And I'm sure there is a reporting, the way you can you can run reporting type of thing on Jenkins.
Yeah.
And consolidate all the errors and send an email and something like that. So.
Correct. So this report will be automatically sent to our business partners' email, like you said. And next day morning, they'll say why it failed and why this happened, all that. Only developers will be questioned because it's their code, right?
Right. Understand.
So then from this tool, Tosca, how do you do the bug tracking, defect management? How do you get on the same page with the developers, like how we did in Jira?
So I think my QA manager will generate a report from requirements. They will map with the test case and the report. There is something called execution list. So they will see that, and then we have to raise defects manually in Jira. There's no other way.
So this tool does not integrate with Jira. I'm sure that there is a way to integrate it with other tools, but maybe not Jira, where you can automatically create the defects and so forth. Otherwise, you have to go and do manually. That's what you are saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, that when we did Jira in the class, it was, we can create a bug, we can, we can see that process. And here I don't see any such thing.
Yep.
Now, Silu, remember this is automation as well. So now, obviously, you have to think through the design wise, right? That thing probably you still have to do that. This is the way you can automate your manual stuff. Now, the question for Kritika is, so do you guys do any manual, or you guys strictly use everything here?
Good question.
So I'm sure there is some manual testing you guys still have to do.
We always have to do manual testing.
Yep,
so the website that are flown, it has to be tested at least once.
Once, right? So initially, yep.
Yes,
Okay.
at least once to see all these are working, all the web elements, all the page is displayed properly. Manually, you have to test at least once.
Yep.
Without code, we cannot automate. Without manual testing, we cannot automate.
Understand.
At least once. One
So-
scenario has to pass. Happy
so-
path has to pass.
So you are probably on the automation team, but I'm sure there is some manual testing. Who does actually the manual testing, or your team manages both?
We do both. We
do
have to
both,
do manual testing once and
Okay.
then capture these elements, because once the code is deployed, we won't know which element has to be captured where.
Right.
So we need to test once whether this login user ID and password and login button is working fine. Without that testing, we cannot do automation.
So do you capture the test cases like a manual, kind of like a ALM, right? So
Yes.
do you have the ALM test repository where you have all
Yes.
the test cases, test plans,
Yes.
and so forth? Okay, so
We
you execute
always
that first, and once it's ready, then you automate that,
correct.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Does it make sense to everybody how they are doing it nationwide, I guess?
Why do we have to go for automation? Does anyone know?
You guys should be able to answer that. Why do we automate anything?
Get the
Saves
work done
time.
faster.
So when we introduce new code for the release, we have to test the existing code. Existing code, we cannot test everything manually. So that's why we run automation to test existing code is working fine, and the new code is not affecting the existing one. And then once we get the new code, we automate that as well, and then keep it in our regression. Basically, it's regression. Automation is for regression purpose. So once the new code is there, we automate that, and then we'll keep those test cases ready for the next release. So when the next release comes, the automation scripts will run, test the existing code, and then move forward. Basically, it's only for regression.
Yep. So manual testing is ultimately not going away. I guess that's what I wanted to highlight here.
Yeah.
From based on our conversation.
Manual
You still
testing
have to
is
do
very
manual
important.
testing. Yep.
We
Yeah, go ahead.
have to know both positive, negative, and regression testing. Without manual testing,
Right.
we cannot do automation. We have to know where to click and what to input and what action we have to perform on those. Like someone asked, what about negative value in user ID or password? So that knowledge will come only when you do manual testing.
Yep. That's a valid point. Yeah. Okay. So we have still another 10 minutes. Anybody has any other question for Kritika?
Yes, we are all hungry, I think. Yeah.
No, we're good. Nothing from my side.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have one question, Kritika.
Mm-hmm.
So for freelancing, so is the U-Test is the website to reach?
Like U-Test, you have other websites too, but I will check and let you know, because U-Test is the only one I worked, but there are other companies that do cloud testing. I can check. I am not sure whether they will pay well or not, but U-Test, as many bugs you find and as many critical bugs you find, your rate will increase depending on the client.
Okay.
For every bug you find, based on the criticality, they will pay you.
Okay. Thank you.
and depends on the number of devices and browsers you test. So same application you can test in if they support in Windows or in Mac or in iOS mobile or Android mobile. You can register those devices and browsers in their website, and then they will let you know which client wants to test on which device and browsers, and based on your availability you can register with them and then start testing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Another maybe time for one more question, last question or a couple of questions, if you guys have anything. All right. Looks like nobody has any questions. So I think hopefully you guys can download the tool and play around. And I'm basically, and let me know if you have any issue with the tool configuration or anything, then I can certainly help you on one of the Thursdays. We can set up a time and work through that. Then I think we'll stop here then, since nobody has any questions. So
Was it helpful?
It was.
Session?
It was helpful. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was
Thank you.
helpful. Thank you.
Okay, you can shoot any questions to Harshal, and then if I have answers I can respond.
Thank you.
yep. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kritika.
Thanks, Harshal.
I'll basically be in touch with you if anybody has any question or not, and we can certainly work through. All right, then see you guys. Probably, I know some of you are working through the resume part, so we'll work through that over next week and finalize and move forward with the next steps. All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks
then.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
See you
Have a
guys.
good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Good
Thanks,
night,
Harshal.
everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.